The Queen noted a building with unusually lavish ornamentation, including shining bronze roof tiles and glistening rock crystal window panes. An important clan dwelled there, Gabor explained. The Breckenrigs.
Could you introduce me?
Meve asked.
Perhaps I can convince them to intercede with Bruver on my behalf.
The clan head, Iva, invited Meve to an exquisite feast. But when she broached the subject of the war raging just outside Mahakam's borders, the dwarf changed the subject at once. Looking around the interior, Meve quickly understood why. The walls were ordained with Nilfgaardian tapestries and rugs. Gifts from friendly Imperial envoys, no doubt. Meve prepared to leave, convinced she had wasted her time, when someone clasped her shoulder and pulled her into a darkened room. Her kidnapper turned out to be a young dwarf, female, it seemed, dressed in her nightshirt. She introduced herself as Iva's daughter, Eudora Breckenrigs, and openly admitted she had eavesdropped on Meve's dinner conversation.
Listen, me dad's stubborner than an old goat, but I'll convince him to help ye. For a wee favour, that is.
Mm-hmm. What?
I want you to steal something from the clan archive. Historiae Mahakamorum, 'tis called. See, me dad won't let me betroth me sweetekin Zoltan. Says the codex forbids marrying a dwarf who's left the mountains. But there's precedent. Just such a case described in that document. If I can show it to Da, he'll have to change his mind.
Meve felt sympathy for Eudora and wanted to help her, especially considering the favor Eudora could do her in return. But she fully realized if her attempt to break into the archive ended badly, it would result in a tremendous scandal Bruver Hoog would not soon forget.
The pot's worth the play, I believe. Fine. I accept your offer.
They then shook hands, sealing the deal. Meve had to bite her tongue to stop from crying out, for the young she-dwarf had the grip of a brawny blacksmith. Meve returned to her company, and, massaging her sore hand, presented Eudora's offer. Gascon volunteered for the task at once.
Thievery's my forte. The dwarves won't notice a single mothball or a place.
Gascon snuck into the archive under the cover of darkness. Just as he was tucking Eudora's desired document into his cloak, he heard dwarven boots clanking down the stairs.
Damn it!
Gascon swore.
I can't let them catch me. Who's there? What a nub. That was close.
Stop! Who's there?
God damn it. How am I supposed to go around them?
Yeah.
Who's there?
What a nub. That was close.
Stop!
God damn.
Who's there?
How am I supposed to go around?
Who's there?
What a nub. That was close.
Stop! Who's there?
Come on.
Who's there?
Did I shove that?
What a nub. That was close.
Maybe like this would work.
Yeah.
Because then I could move here and go there.
Stop!
Shit!
Who's there?
What a nub. That was close. Yeah! Huh! Huh! Piece of cake. Yeah! Huh! Ah!
Huh? Who's there?
What a nub. That was close. Huh! Piece of cake.
Damn it. Should use your...
Ah! Ha!
Huh? Who's there?
What a nub. That was close. Ah! Ha! Ah!
Stop! Who's there?
No one's there. No one's here,
Luckily,
okay?
Gascon managed to do the deed quietly, so the dwarves never found out who had broken in.
Yeah, Gascon did it quietly,
Handed
right?
Eudora the stone. The dwarf shouted, raising the parchment in a triumphant gesture.
So
Dad, can I do
quietly
nothing
he
to
got
stop her
caught
making
5
vows now?
times.
I've got to write Zoltan right quick. Thanks. Thanks a million times over.
Although I doubt she's gonna do anything with Zoltan, honestly. He seems pretty much busy with Geralt. Sorry, man, but I think that Zoltan's gonna be with Geralt. Sorry. Geralt and Zoltan, OTP.
And Eudora did her part too. Soon after, the Queen learned there'd been a gathering of the clans, and Ivor had indeed spoken on her behalf. She could only hope the elder Breckenriggs had swayed Groover Hoog as well.
Eudora.
You can count on us, Queenie. Ivor'll be a wall at your back. What are you poking me for?
Hey, can you guys clear the Blear Edge, please? We need to get across. Okay.
Ah, you thundering dolt! I told you to hold your horses or you'll shake the hitch loose.
Oh, now you're a bleeding expert, are you? You overloaded the damn cart, that's why it's busted.
A wagon lay strewn across the middle of the road. Behind it stood others, some loaded with gold, jewels, and other valuables, others groaning under barrels of pickled meat. Each dwarf had his own theory about how the accident had come about, and thundered it out to all and sundry, peppered with choice invectives.
An odd caravan.
Meave said.
They don't look like merchants.
Nay, they ain't.
Gabor answered.
Dwarves of the Ferens clan, carrying gifts for the Drake. Remember Keltilus? When he took roost here, Ferences fought him for near a century. Then the dragon got weary of fighting and they realised he weren't going nowheres, so they cut a deal. He didn't bother them. They give him what he needs.
Well, well. And these offerings they send often?
Every week. Excuse me, got to separate them lads, for they tear out each other's beards. Hi there! Krill your eject heeds!
Gabor managed to douse his brethren's fiery tempers, but the wagon still lay across the road, blocking all traffic.
Queen,
Said Xavier.
it is an easy repair. I've the tools, the parts. Need but your permission.
Of course. Go see what can be done.
Xavier did indeed make quick work of the problem. Within moments, the wagon was rolling smoothly down the road, good as new,
Well, shaft me, your highness.
said one of the dwarves.
Your engineer's got a pate like stewed meat, but he kens his trade. That's for certain.
I'll convey your word. Thank you.
Meave said, accepting the surprisingly heavy pouch.
In wartime, every copper counts.
The dwarf bowed in parting, shook the snow off his beard, then rejoined his caravan. Within a few moments, the wagons had disappeared around the bend.
Jigglypuff, Jigglypuff. Oh, quest. My lady, this forge belongs to a famous armorer by the name of Nikos Gargs. Truly never in my life have I seen a finer studded letter and mail. He's willing to sell, but not for coin, for he is buried up to his neck in it. Instead, he asks for labor, new hands he can train to work at his forge. Well, the end justifies the means. Select a handful of volunteers. Sure, let's get some volunteers.
pillar of smoke rose above the mountains, and a sooty aroma filled the air.
Fire!
Gabor said, then took a deep sniff.
Perhaps a bolt struck some barren trees.
No,
Meave said curtly.
I know that scent too well. All Edirn reeked of it. It's the smell of burning homes.
The Lyrians quickened their gait. Soon they saw a town fully aflame, and a roaring, furious dragon above it.
That's your Celtimus.
Gascon asked, shielding his eyes from the sharp glare emanating from the city.
You were right. Perfectly harmless.
Dinna ken was get his knickers in a bunch.
The dwarf said, grabbing his axe from his belt.
Queen, we got to make haste to the rescue.
Smother your fears, Sir Dwarf.
Ache proclaimed. Without waiting for Meade's reply, he dropped his lance and galloped headlong towards the burning city.
Follow me! Slay the Viper!
Reynard!
Meave called out.
Have our men wet their cloaks for a modicum of fire protection. We move as soon as they're done. If we don't make haste, Ache will be reduced to smouldering plate.
Your Grace, they are but common soldiers. To fight a dragon.
I know.
While Reynard went to pass on the order, Meave turned to Gabor.
This dragon, has it any weakness?
Fear not,
Said the somber dwarf.
except a fondness for raw meat.
Meave nodded and swallowed dryly. Despite the cold, she felt sweat pour down her. Stifling her fear, Meave gave the order to attack, and her soldiers rode into the flaming city. From up close, Keltalis looked even more terrifying. Though enormous, he moved with shocking agility, like a lizard scurrying over sand. With one swing of his paw, he snapped the necks of 3 dwarves, then bisected a form with a powerful bite. After that,
Caltulis, we're gonna go kick you in the nutty! Make sure to don't lose your nutty. Kick you in the nutty, Caltulis. Okay, what the fuck is this thing? I'm gonna need this. Fuck you, guy. Fuck you, Reynard. Fuck you, Alchemist. Fuck you, Spy. That should be good.
Behind me! Stay together!
Wait, how the fuck am I supposed to do this?
We'll catch them all!
I'm curious what Gabor does.
We haven't killed the dragon. It has to be possible.
Then let's do like Yerpin did. And destroy the dragon.
For you, pal, anything. Ah, shite! He's raging now! Watch out!
Thing about slings, they hide well.
Your Grace, we're taking losses!
Tell me you jest.
You sure about that?
Confirming Women's diminished, but be wary. Each blow it answers still with wrath and fury.
The chase is on! Your Grace, he's vulnerable. We must strike now.
Wait, you're serious?
Make love, not war.
We got a job to do.
That day, many Lyrians perished, either to the dragon's all-consuming fire or to its flesh-rending claws. Yet their sacrifice was not in vain. Together with the dwarves, they were able to grievously wound Celtilis, forcing him to flee. The howls of the wounded monster rang throughout the valley.
That's right, howl, you scurvy snake! Shouldn't they ever attacked us, eh? Damn fuel lizard!
Meave, that's Vavrenik, elder of the town and all the Ferences.
My regards and condolences.
Eh, tain't so bad. If nae for ye, wouldn't there be a stone left unrubbled? To be honest, when I caught wind some human queen come to Mahakam looking for aid, I said a crocus would sprout twixt my cheeks afore I'd vote aye on that. Gonna be a fear to look in my breeches after, but changed my mind. After what I saw today, what ye did for us, you've the support and undying gratitude of all Ferences.
Thank you. Faced with a Nilfgaardian peril, that means a great deal.
Forgive me for interrupting this tear-tugging scene of interracial reconciliation, but I can't hold back no longer. Vavrenik! Double chase! What happened? Why'd Celtilis attack?
I ken as much as ye, meaning squat diddly. Just flew up, started spewing flames, half the town lit up in a flash.
Sheepshank! 300 years I've been a good neighbour.
What's done's done. Gotta think about the future. The Drake's just taking a breather. Gotta finish him off for his regained form.
Meaning we haven't much time. He heals like an alchemist's pup. And the nearest guards are miles away. He'll be up flying again before they get here.
Aye, that's what I thought. Perhaps, Your Grace, you'd,
What? Jest you must.
I ken you're tired through the fight, dinna want to risk casualties, etc. But remember, the beast sleeping on a bed of gold and rubies. All belonging by right to Brother, of course. But if quibbling some wandered off, he'd nae notice.
I admit that does alter my calculations. Besides, the dragon was badly wounded.
Putting it featherly, blood poured out of him like a leaky bladder. Just needs a coup de grace.
Fine. I'll do the deed.
Ken did see the light.
Oi, Vavrenek, Vavrenek. This lady's gonna make your rump a regular crocus garden.
Aye, Queen's doing us a great service. One that'll profit us both.
So, where is Keltulus's lair?
North of here. It's a vast cavern. Ye cannae miss it.
Meve bid farewell to Vavrenek and set out on her way. Did her way lead to the dragon's lair, you ask? Shh. Let's not spoil the surprise. Keltulis' lair was indeed impossible to miss, as would stand to reason, for any space capable of containing a dragon must be enormous. The lair's maw, a black triangle cut out of a vast plain of snow, loomed from afar. Confirming the dragon's presence was the powerful odor emanating from it, one of sulfur and blood.
Well then,
Gascon said,
ready to become a legendary dragon slayer?
My father oft said, never should you count pelts till the hunt is through.
Meve said, dismounting her horse.
It's all the more true when you hunt dragons. He's wounded, yes, but one puff of flame, and we shall be not legends, but corpses. Leave all thoughts of foolhardy bravery behind.
The Lyrians crept across the dragon's threshold. They walked single file, shields raised, watched by bats hanging from the ceiling. Keltulis lay curled up on a bed of diamonds and gold coins turned red from his blood. Seeing how he strained merely to lift his massive head, Meve knew the dragon no longer posed any threat.
Come to finish what your poison began?
The monster croaked hoarsely.
Fine. Do it then.
Keltulis turned over, exposing his vulnerable underbelly, and waited calmly for the fatal blow.
I just don't want to kill him now.
Wait.
Meve said, dropping her sword.
What poison?
Keltulis laughed while squeezing his bleeding side in pain.
So they didn't tell you? Lousy munchkins.
Hey! Watch your tongue!
Gabor yelled.
Sides! I didn't ken anything about it.
Keltalis looked the Lyrians over mistrustfully with his snake-like eyes, then began to tell his tale. The caravan Meve had met on the road was different to the others. This time, Keltalis's meat had been pickled in a special brine, one spiked with poison. As the dragon lay curled up in pain, Ferenc dwarves entered his lair and smashed his head.
So if I understand correctly...
Meve interrupted.
You're female?
Correct. Same as you.
As if on command, all Lyrian eyes turned to Gabor.
Can you look at me? We didn't peek under his, its tail.
If I may,
Reynard interjected.
These revelations about Keltalis's sex are undeniably fascinating. But I'm more curious why the Ferences stooped to such a dishonorable deed.
That's easy enough to guess.
Meve said.
They were afraid the dragon would soon demand more tribute to feed its young. So they decided to strike preemptively.
A wise and noble deed.
Ache cried.
Evil must always be nipped in the bud.
To the Ferences' misfortune, they delivered too small a dose of poison. Infuriated at the sight of the broken eggs, the dragon gathered its strength and flew to the nearest town. Meve saw for herself what happened then. And now it was up to her to decide how this story would end. The dragon had killed dozens, perhaps even hundreds, but had been provoked first by the dwarves' heartless cruelty. Did it thus deserve death or mercy?
I understand your pain,
Meve said.
but nothing can justify the massacre you wrought.
Nothing? And what would you have done in my place?
Snorted the dragon.
Pen a letter of complaint to Elder-in-Chief Oak? They children?
I'd have done the same.
The Queen replied, not hesitating a moment.
I'd have sought revenge, knowing what punishment I'd earn.
The monster looked Meve in the eyes a long while, then dropped its head.
I've no more strength to fight. I've no more reason to fight. Do as you see fit.
Meve raised her sword high and swept it down with enormous strength, cutting the scaled belly in twain. The monster bellowed out a long roar and writhed its tail, scattering diamonds everywhere. Then grew still. Keltalis, the last red dragon between the Great Sea and the Fiery Mountains, had breathed his last. There followed a strange silence. No one cheered. No one clapped. Only Ache whispered a prayer of thanks under his breath.
That was...
Gascon said, the first to break the silence.
not terribly epic.
What'd you expect?
Gabor said, arms akimbo.
Fanfare and fireworks. The mountain to quake. He up and died. What else would he do?
I am certain, Your Grace,
Reynard said,
that the poets will endow this moment with the appropriate splendor.
I'm sure they will,
the Queen said, sheathing her sword.
for they are liars.
The Queen told her soldiers to gather a part of the dragon's treasure, small enough not to bring down the wrath of Bruverhoog, but large enough to fully compensate the Lyrian's losses, and Meve gained the title of Dragon Slayer, though she rarely made much mention of it. Meve squinted, the better to see the scene. Several dozen dwarves had gathered on the cliff overlooking the chasm. All were turned towards a ramp, at the peak of which stood a barrel.
What is that gathering about?
Asked the Queen.
Have we a feast day?
Nay,
answered Gabor grimly.
'Tis an execution.
Oh my god, dwarves put someone in a barrel and rolls them down the mountain. Whoa, okay.
A hairy head peeked out of the barrel. The long, pointy nose and ears left no doubt that it belonged to a gnome. The first Meve had ever seen in her life.
Help! Save me!
The gnome yelled.
They aim to kill me! Cast me in the chasm!
Shut your maw!
Barked the dwarf standing next to him, who then shoved the gnome inside the barrel and covered it with a lid.
Your crimes! The sheer weight of it, eh? No lighter punishment is fitting.
The other gathered dwarves nodded approvingly. Two gripped the barrel, lay it on its side, then lifted it to cast in the chasm, paying the thumping from inside it no heed. The Queen mounted up and squeezed her mare with her knees to urge her forward. Soon after, she heard a loud, wailing cry, the sound of wood splintering.
Dare say it was the bonniest flight I've ever seen. A perfect parabola. Dare say... Every year more monsters crawl out for spring cleaning.
The blizzard's blowing in. Your Grace, perhaps we'd best pitch camp and wait for clear weather.
Tain't a bad idea. Said we might be waiting a week.
Then we march on. We've no time to waste. While we ride to and fro begging aid, Nilfgaard grows in power. We must obtain reinforcements as quickly as possible and liberate our home.
Watch your heads!
Bigger they are, easier they are to target. Thing about slings, they hide well.
I fear not, for faith guides me.
Tell me you jest.
A knight should help. Our codex commands it.
Yes?
Greetings. What is it?
Ever have a storm knock out one of your teeth?
And just when you thought things were about to get dull.
You sure about that?
Niamh rode on in silence, endeavoring to work out the length of her exile thus far. A scout's call tore her from her reverie.
Your Grace! You must see this!
With a grave mien, the soldier indicated a track in the snow. The hobnail boot print was all too familiar. Niamh had seen it before, upon Lyria's sandy tracks, and midst the ashes to which Edirn had been turned.
Nilfgaardian footmen.
Seethed Niamh.
Marched through of late.
Interrupted Gascon.
A day, perhaps 2 days past.
The scouts had learned a Nilfgaardian caravan with an armed escort had recently arrived in Mahakam. The invaders had brought with them chests brimming with gold and jewels, then exchanged these for the finest Mahakaman-forged swords and spears. A scout gave me one of the coins the Blackclads had used for payment. Upon the coin's back, the Lyrian eagle.
They pay with gold from my vault.
The Queen said through gritted teeth.
For arms that will cut down my fighting men and subjects.
We might yet pursue and hunt them down,
said Reynard, a spark in his eye.
And make certain Ed Dahi never lays hands on those weapons.
You might, I can.
Piped up Gabor, who had been listening to their exchange.
But you might also recall, we Mahakamans are neutrals who assure all guests within our borders safety. True, formally speaking, the Nilfgaardians have passed outside them, but attack him a stone's throw from our gates, and you'll see Brewer's rage come out his ears as steam, and out his arse as fire.
Order your forces to attack off guard gunplay. Ignore your arms. Oh, wait.
No war's outcome has been swayed by a few wagons of arms, no matter their quality.
Said the Queen, vaulting into her saddle.
Yet if we turn Brewer against us, I dare say we shall never wrest our land from black-clad hands.
The Queen's men regretted her reluctance to attack, but none tried to dissuade her. They knew her too well.
Kill the beast! Let's kill the boss! Damage an enemy by 3 charges too, okay. Interesting.
Don't you worry yourself, you Grace. We'll get her done in no time.
Look at this. Oh, come on! You kidding me? Fuck. That's where I want them to spawn. Okay.
If anyone asks, you've not seen me. There's been a mistake. I'm no mage.
We shan't pass this way.
Oh, brain it. Whatever would we do without you? Plummet off the cliff like lemmings, no doubt.
Maeve squinted and gazed off into the distance. It seemed to her that hundreds of black patches covered the peaks on the horizon. Once she had ridden up closer, she realized these were the windows of homes carved out of solid rock.
Our pride this was,
sighed Gabble.
Burra's Rump. A city carved out of mountain rock. Hundreds of miles of tunnels, dozens of steelworks, smithies and forges. Now, it's a vast lair to monsters. They ooze from underground, weave their nests, hatch their young, and when hunger hits them in the gut, they prowl down into the pass.
Maeve stood at the entrance to the underground city. The monumental gate, cast in bronze, lay on the ground, folded multiple times as a scroll of paper. Out of blackened windows oozed a stench of rotting meat and mold. The Queen bent an ear to hear water dripping, and, in the distance, a metallic scraping. A sound akin to chitinous scales rubbing against rock.
The soldiers await your order, Your Grace,
said Reynard quietly, as if he feared he would wake the beasts asleep in the caverns.
Do you recall my words as we fled Lyria?
Said Maeve, turning to Reynard.
You swore you would retake your crown, even if you had to penetrate hell to do so.
Time to follow that oath.
The Queen inhaled deeply and stepped forward, her sword raised and prepared to strike or parry. Moments later, it was swinging, fighting, as the current tenants of Burra's Rump came out to meet her.
Oh, this stench is foul.
Hey?
Ah, damn it! They're hatching! Place is about to swarm with creepers!
We'll catch 'em all!
Though I walk through the valley of darkness, I shall fear no evil.
Ever have a storm knock out one of your teeth?
The chase is on!
I smell a leak. must be a mistake. I'm no mage.
Have it the white of an eye from half a league away.
This way! Follow me!
Though wounded, Meve approached the Shaelmar, which lay writhing on the ground. She then ran her sword through its heart, finishing it. Yet so spent was she that she lacked the strength to pull her blade from between the plates of the chitinous armor.
The beast near took me.
She whispered.
It was very close.
Illyrians reached a vast hall that had once served the clans as their meeting room. The stone benches were covered in sticky slime and insectoid eggs, while bats of varying size hung from the crystal chandeliers. Gascon rummaged through old, weathered bones, surely hoping to find something of value. Gabor, in turn, was at a shut and locked door, grappling with it as if it were a deadly beast. The door finally gave way with a sigh, and the dwarf raised his arms in a triumphant gesture.
It's a storeroom. Should hold miner's tools aplenty,
he said, enthused.
Some barrels of alchemical brews in here, too. Lucky there's no sign of moisture. They haven't soaked through. All we've got to do is roll them out into the corridor and set a bit of fire to them, and whoomph! We'll have sealed the beasts off from the pass once and for all.
Meve treated the dwarves' instructions as hallowed. Soon after, the mountains trembled from a powerful explosion. Rubble came down and blocked the tunnels. They say the plumes of smoke escaping the window openings in the rock could be seen as far as Aldersburg.
Alright, well this was an interesting part.